Ladies and gentlemen, nerds of all ages, hello and welcome. Today I am going to talk to you about the VR game Spellbound. Spellbound is an RPG where you play as a mage, available on both the Vive and the Rift. I'm playing it on the Vive, so all of my experience comes from the motion controls, and I guess that's probably a pretty good place to start talking. The basic mechanics of the game are walking and throwing magic. The way you walk in this game is by holding the grip buttons and swinging your arms. I've seen this referred to on the community as locomotion. The idea behind this is that it helps reduce motion sickness, and from my experience, it's actually pretty successful. Other games I've played without teleportation make me feel like I'm sliding a bit. I don't get too motion sick in those games, but it's definitely not really pleasant. This locomotion movement seems to have eliminated that sliding feeling pretty much completely. The direction you move in is decided by your head. This can cause issues as at times you need to be running away, meaning that you can't face the target while fleeing. That means you can't actually throw spells at them unless you throw them over your shoulder. Another issue is you can only run for a few seconds before the character gets tired and slows down considerably and starts panting. This is literally only about 5 seconds of actual decent movement speed. I understand what the dev was going for here. They wanted limited movement so as to make you fight and build tension, because you can't really run away from these zombies. However, what actually happens is it takes you a minute or so to get from point A to point B, because you keep stopping and slowing down. There are only some areas where there actually are zombies, so this can get really annoying, because you're trying to get from one plot point to the next, and you really can't, very easily at least. There's another issue with this that I actually will go over in a minute. The dev has said that they will implement some form of teleportation, but that it will have a cast time so you can't just teleport away from enemies when the going gets tough. They also said that later on they intend to include a difficulty where the zombies will notice that you're going to teleport and move to where you're teleporting to. As far as the magic casting goes, I think the dev has done a really great job. There are currently only 2 spells, but even though they are similar, I can feel the different potential uses. Casting is pretty simple. Hold the trigger buttons and then throw it, release the trigger to actually let go of the spell. From my experience, throwing in VR doesn't work as well as it possibly could. For example, in real life, I could probably throw a ball to a person 30 meters away. In VR, I'd be lucky to throw about 10 meters accurately. Spellbound minimizes the issues with throwing by having a semi-lock-on feature. If you look at an enemy for a few seconds, you will lock on. When you throw a spell, it will kind of act as a homing missile and curve towards the enemy. It works pretty well, it's fairly satisfying. The only real problem I have with the actual combat / magic is that there's an optimal way of fighting that makes the game way too easy. You can just charge the spell by holding it down for a few seconds and one hit whatever appears. If you're using the fireball, this also creates a blast radius that is far too big, and you can end up killing pretty much all the enemies with maybe 1 or 2 spells, so you walk around holding the spells and just let go and destroy everything. This could probably be fixed by lowering the blast radius of the spells, or something to that effect. Maybe just giving some kind of benefit to attacking quickly, because at the moment if you just quickly attack, the enemy gets far too many invincibility frames, which means it's not a good way of fighting at all. Now I'll talk about the sound. This is by far the weakest part of the game. The game has lots of narration, as it is very story-driven, according to the dev. However, this narration is overridden by any other game sound, pretty much. For example, if you come across an obstacle, the narration will tell you what to do, such as, oh, here's some brambles, I can use a spell to blow it up. However, if you are moving while this happened, you will inevitably pant. This panting sound will stop the narration audio. I still haven't heard all of the narration in the game. I don't even think I've heard more than 1 or 2 of the bits of narration fully. And I've been through the game about 3 times, because I'm always panting. And this is pretty much constant panting in your ear, because you have to move a lot, but your character gets tired constantly, and it's always panting. As much as I like the idea that it's hard to run away, the lack of running mechanic seems to get in the way of so much else. Now I'll talk about visuals. The spells look beautiful. A few times in the video I've just stood around throwing spells. They look amazing. In fact, most of the game looks incredibly well polished. The care and detail in these visuals really immerses you in the game. In future chapters, I would love the chance to just be in an area where I don't have to fight, so I can just walk around and discover more of the world and just play with spells, I suppose. The game is made by a single dev, and he or she is very transparent with the game. In the early access information, there is actually some great insight into what to expect, and there are progress reports. For example, currently it says September Prelude is 95% complete, Chapter 1 is 80% complete. And it's got that for the rest of the game, and I think that's pretty good. It's helpful, it lets us know what's happening. They are also pretty active in the community pages. I feel like this is actually a person you can trust with releasing more. They have said, and I believe that there are 2 new spells fairly close, and I believe that. Finally, I will talk about the price point. It's $20 US at the moment. One playthrough of what is currently out is about 20 minutes. Maybe a little bit longer if you take time to soak in the coolness of what actually is here. The game is in early access, and what is out at the moment is only the prelude. There are still 3 proper acts to come as part of the initial purchase, and there will be 2 other stories, apparently 3 acts each, that will be available as DLC. At the moment, you're buying, at least for the most part, potential. What is here is very good, but it is limited. I've played it through 3 times, and I have about an hour's gameplay, and I will play it through a few more times because I really enjoy it. If you want to support the dev, give it a go. It's a fun game. If you want to wait until there is more of the game to actually have a look at, I really can't blame you. This has been a look at Spellbound, an early access game for the Vive currently, and soon to be Oculus Rift. Thank you for watching.
I need to work for